then they say, on the wrong lot of chill. To catch him a rain, our lot of chill, Girimado. It's not to Mumbochi Trojer, these gentlemen get chilled. You don't always lumber, begun.
So in this way, that all these supplication prayers we have to do, over and over, so that we could train our mind, and we could tame our mind that inclining towards the prayer. Otherwise, all sorts of the conceptual thoughts just constantly arising, and then it is always difficult that one could carry through the real Dharma practice.
Tremba, she gentle ten, Della Denetine, Ronki, Lima, Yesumji, Koshi Shanam, Trembe, Jesus Simne, the boy of Ashene, Chishonia, Zutva, what in this kitchen.
And also always have to maintain the mindfulness and the conscientiousness that which we apply within our body, speech, mind. And whenever any sort of distractions happen, then we should apply the mindfulness, and that way how we can train our mind, and could be possible that we could have a right Dharma practice.
The only on the Tashi Chido, Sim delivered, Lungsun doing it to be Yamaras, they son only on the Sotonle, wrong, so Dylan about Sil.
So this is, if we examine ourselves, that our minds, as we know how it is, that our mind is like a tornado wind that constantly just giving rise to so many thoughts. So in that way, one have to watch one's mind and try to discipline oneself, and in that way, one have to fit oneself into the practices.
So, Lelo Tonyam. Take it, they don't number can then the Pomage Lela, the Shuchemon don't do it, then don't my cheese.
So, most of the time in our daily life, we have all this laziness, and then we are kind of feeling more kind of equanimity, not having enough effort into the practice. So one should not just really fall in that way. And then also, for instance, like sleeping, in one way, if we think, maybe like half of our life, maybe gone through sleeping, and that sleep, it is not that much necessary compared to our real practice. So one have to be just a little bit careful about that.
The Shishon is in the Ligina Shatra. What Magina, then Kata de Gelata Shiva. Sangina, Nem with also Sham Shirajele, Depamigit, on top of it. Rongilinga is only Yebatele, the basis here, or ten occasion body.
So that present body, speech, mind, what we have, we should utilize and take the right advantage of it, just in relation with the Dharma practice, such as like a physical body, doing all those prostrations and so forth, and then properly accumulating the mantras, and then doing the prayers and the chantings, and then mentally try to get rid of all the afflictive emotions, and then try to develop the devotion, inclination, and respect to all these practices. And that way, we should not waste this present body, speech, mind, and properly have to take the right advantage.
Nyingma beyond the metal, Liji Syndica, Shebato, Magin, Gitembi, Chadom, on the Down Lasova, Sangiana, those who not those, they don't point of Gathina, Panyur, don't of you, then the
So this is our mentally that we should work hard to try to reduce all these afflictive emotions and then the conceptual thoughts, and then verbally just in relation with all sorts of gossips and all other kinds of unnecessary talks, and then physically try to discipline oneself and try to engage more into the Dharma practice. So, of course, in general, that subjugating to the gurus and all the tribal gem and all the objects of refuge, that which has its own benefit, and then also try to be kind and loving to each other, and also that part of that view where you could to cultivate the pure perception in relation with these practices are, of course, important.
Tana socho sudo suyena di jilla yeji dever hibi nimbo de sonji yende yebajire mato mebaji mar benambo migi tomaton de nawo di jilla son namchi de yedi koron ya setum to remato jille yeros.
So, like all these beings, even for instance, like an insect, that they all have the Buddha nature, the enlightened mind of the Buddha. Somehow it is just always there. Only the difference is that they could not give rise to it. Other than that, everybody has that great potential. So, in that way, one should perceive and respect.
Lama Butanji Sonjere or Catholic don't.
So don't just say in a kind of like a funny way, just our master just says these insects are all Buddhas. So in a way, just try to understand in that way.
Madoti Seno Rongi Tevaro, Tevaro, Cuba, Share, no, Tenon. So that within our mind, some sense of respect and devotion and being kind and loving is somehow it is important to train ourselves. Not necessarily we have to just kind of always verbalize. Tata naso mele Jula Yabishon Chusendi Chegatido Muslim Travati Jenabi Sonchusendi Chunga Gemar Tanti Jandaris Yena Melakorum Tranhi Yabati Jangi Nibat Chegatis. So, for instance, like the Bodhicitta or that Buddha nature which is within the human being and within the insects, that there is no tiny bit of difference. Only the difference is because of the human beings. We have a special sense of understanding as like a mindfulness and conscientiousness, and because of that it is more powerful. Buddha Sanjay that's say sa or Kongyan or tended regular that he round the young leg, teaching founded a mother, Mrs. Jimmy was.
So maybe you guys might have lots of other different thoughts, that thinking, oh, then why just we are eating all these, shrimps and insects and meat, and like step over those, insects. So those, in a way, it is also related with the very complicated karmic ripenings in relation with each and every individual being. You don't have to necessarily do that when you see an insect, oh, there is a bodhisattva, and started doing prostrations. Of course, not necessarily you have to do that, but in a sense, you have to understand and try to have sense of kindness to all these sentient beings. For instance, like one single leaf, also there may be countless insects. Similar like that, all sorts of that vegetables which we eat, also there are related with the many insects. And also like within one glass of water, also there are so many insects. So I'm just joking anyway that those who think, oh, we are vegetarian, but somehow if we look in this way, we are still eating lots of those insects. But you never, of course, think that, oh, I'm eating these insects or these kind of, animals, but somehow that how it is, connected in that way. So in that way, of course, the Shakyamuni Buddha, the enlightened mind, how it perceives, according to that it is taught. And then, of course, the scientists now these days, they also just, explain, oh, in this way there are so many germs and insects, so forth. It is just more or less same. So in generally, it is always important and necessary that to train one's mind to give rise to devotion, faith, inclination, and also generating compassion, loving kindness, and bodhicitta to all sentient beings.
Members of Tab. Tapa, Sama, then I also
So, of course, in many of these teachings, also it is explained that like even the doors and then the kitchen and then the ropes and including like the brooms, that somehow there are so many other kind of, invisible insects. So those are somehow, it is just explained that in the kind of instant way of suffering in relation with the part of those, health. Also, it is taught that even when you close your door, you should be just, kind of very soft way, not to just, bang in that way. And then every morning, just I'm giving this mentup, the nectar. So this also have a great deal of blessing.
the Junde Manum Bashele Nyaikabachis.
It is just because from the Guru Padmasambhava all the way till now that the continuity of that process and then the blessing is just always there.
Mentu Rede to the Genamba Toma Bachigi, Shabot Rede Nire Tendency Nibatamashi, what the men do the Dugiers. So
when we prepare this mintu, that the nectar, that we with the whole bunch of monks and practitioners, that like 1 week or 2 weeks, just carry through practice until have some sign of accomplishment.
Druba, tendency dundrup so gavale and don't shirk on radio.
So, like this great practice of huge gatherings of sangha that also have been just like many millions.
No, that ngagi now danga penje duka yitu yamar reyeres.
And even during myself, that these Tubchen, the great Sangha gathering practices, maybe about 40-50 times.
Oh, men do this of positive,
and during all this preparation of the mintup, that the nectar, almost all the time that there have at least some sign of its actual accomplishment.
Ni medu the kind of run, sentient chasing suchi kind of run now, deji juji, Nyambaton Jipa Hiwadon, the runs of the juji and dentist, yard pendua, what the legit done not there.
So whoever could just possible to receive and eat this, then of course it has those blessings, how it helps to pacify afflictive emotions and also to increase and develop one's just pure qualities.
Medruj mila dutsi chimeseres duts there nyam bannato sion sonso nyam bannato de natanti yehi jitsege na titene tabasheva chile to te kogiers. So
this the mintup, which is in Tibetan called to Tuti Chemin. So Tut, which means that to purify or to get rid of this afflictive emotion, and then Ti, which is meant by it is applied the transcendental wisdom, that which purifies everything and actualizes its nature.
That's it. Pena mendaji me and under social carrying a higamachil can taste rasona no lieutenant Nason Rom give me tell children.
So that whether it is a human being or any other insect, then even just when they are almost going to die and even they get a little bit of it, then because of that blessing, within that lifetime, they not necessarily reborn in the three lower realms. So especially those who are the practitioners that who receive and eat these mintu, then it also just certain level of benefit and blessings are there. So even this mintup, that even you have a tiny bit of it with your self, then whatever like form or invisible beings that kind of harmful or obstacles that one can pacify. So even that someone whose mind is not stable or like almost becoming kind of like crazy, then this mintub you put into fire and just burn it, and then that smoke just let it go inside. That also help to pacify such kind of incident.
Pena Gadina and Rodi Daba Dendus at the Loban Rambata, and then the years, 10 on earth, Kana Chesena, Jamdo.
So, like a certain area where there are all these kind of strange hearing strange sounds, or certain kind of just sickness, and then certain places where used to have all these accidents, then if we just have this medicine, that also help to pacify them. So this is not just only what I'm just expressing, it is really there in the text, and according to that as we prepare, and that way it really benefits.
Okay.